Hello, my name is Shercole King, and welcome to the Ada Lovelace Awards Fireside Chat. I'm so excited and proud we get a chance to have an amazing fireside chat with some great women. Today, I would like to introduce our Ada Lovelace Awards winner for the software engineer, Nayeli Mixon, also known as the Code Queen, and the judge for the software engineering category, Jessie Dewan with Roblox. I would love for you both to just take a brief moment to tell us about yourself and some of the great things that you've been doing in the tech community, as well as what has inspired you to get into technology in the first place.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Shercole. Thank you so much. It was lovely to meet you, Jessie. So I actually only started in the tech community in 2017, after being a web designer for almost 7 years. Suddenly the opportunity presented itself that I test out a few bits of code to see if I could implement it in my websites. And I kind of fell in love with the whole coding thing. I know I was a bit older than most people usually are when they start coding, but it intrigued me so much. The thing is, I wasn't very good at it because I was brand new. I didn't really understand the language or the verbiage. So I tried to research something that was more my level. I was older and new, and I couldn't find anything. So what I ended up doing is I ended up creating my own video tutorials. I would test out things. I would try to reverse engineer what I found, and when the light bulb turned on, that's when I recorded a video and I shared it with everybody. Apparently, other people were also starting around the same time with zero background knowledge, and they were intrigued with how I taught the code. Fast forward 4 years later, now have a following of over 9,000 people that are learning code, developing beautiful things to help out their own communities. And that's what I've done so far. I built that community from scratch.
That's pretty amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I was going to say, Nayeli, I remember, as I was looking at some of the wonderful women nominated, but really one of the things that really stood out to me about Nayeli is when I was looking at some of her YouTube videos, and the comments were all saying, wow, thank you so much for explaining this. This was so clear. I've been struggling with this, and you have been, your videos are just so patient and helpful. And that was really cool to see.
Thank you.
Yeah, so maybe a bit about myself. So for me, I'm currently at Roblox as the chief of staff to the chief technology officer. So I work on a whole range of things related to our engineering work. And before this, I was an engineering manager and software engineer at Quora. And so for me, I actually took my first computer science class in college. I was very lucky to do so. And I kind of just fell in love with being able to build and create. And I mean, really be able to sit down on my computer and build programs or websites or things that I felt could really help others. And so I've always personally been very passionate about exposing more young people to technology. So I helped co-found a nonprofit to get high school girls exposure to computer science, as well as worked internationally in Palestine and Albania and other kind of emerging markets to really just expose high schoolers to what computer science can be for them.
That's amazing. I noticed the main theme between both of you is that y'all done so much great work to increase exposure for people at different levels to get involved in technology, learn code, learn web design, different things. And I really appreciate that and how important it is for us to continue to bring exposure to different levels and different age ranges. So I really appreciate that. So from our previous email discussions, one of the common themes that was about how we can continue to grow our knowledge to be used for the good of the world. Using technology to solve like climate issues, social issues, and so much more. So let's discuss these elements a little more. What is it important for us to continue to learn thought-provoking development to solve problems? In addition, Nayeli, I got this idea from you about thought-provoking development. I just love that wording. I wanted you to explain that a little more to everyone so they can see how you see thought-provoking development for everyone.
Well, I've expanded my reach as far as teaching young ones how to code. Now I am teaching high schoolers, junior high, even a little bit of elementary. So I thought, okay, these kids need some exposure. And we don't just want any traditional curriculum that teaches computing, code, drag and drop. I wanted to, avoid that. I wanted to create thought-provoking curriculum so that way they can think, okay, there's a problem, we're trying to solve it. How do we allow this local business that's part of our own community to thrive by giving them a solution as far as how do we help them or assist them in delivering their products or helping people order without physically being in front of the person at the business. We were trying to link communities to technology or applications of sorts and websites, so that way people can still order. There would be no, person-to-person interaction. Everything would be digital, yet it would keep their business flowing. So I allowed the students to come up with their own ideas, figure out the problem, what solutions could we provide, and then present those solutions themselves to the actual local businesses. So that way they kind of not only immerse themselves in the technology, but also get a little taste of entrepreneurship to maybe spark a little interest there for the future.
I love that that's your approach, Nayeli, because I think especially when a lot of high school computer science education historically has been, here, learn this algorithm. Everyone loves algorithms, right? This is fun. And it is fun for some people. But I think what also inspires a lot of other people as well is, okay, how can we use this algorithm? How can we use these tools that we're learning to solve real life problems, right? Whether it's, like you said, helping an entrepreneur sell their products or, reach more people with their products or, get something delivered or whatever it might be. Yeah, I think another thing that comes to mind when we talk about thought-provoking developments is I think there's a ton of potential for, there have been a ton of advancements in technology in the past few years. There's so much impact that's being made. We have Tesla. We have, fully electric cars that we didn't have, 10 years ago. We're going to space. We are building, we're building drones that can solve logistical problems. There's a lot of really exciting things happening in the future that I think all of us get to be part of. I think it's also worth calling out. Those are like the cool, sexy things, right? That everyone likes to talk about. But just as crucial is some of the things that we're describing around, building an online store so that someone can reach a new audience, or building a website to help kids learn math, aka Khan Academy. These are things that might not immediately appear as groundbreaking, thought-provoking, but they actually really make a change in so many people's lives, and there's so much room for that in our daily lives here. So I think that's what was really inspiring to me.
And it's the foundation of it. Once we get them started on that, they get to build on that, and they're going to continue learning, because what we know today may not be the same thing that they're going to be learning 5 years from now. Every single day, new technology is being invented. 4 years ago, I didn't code because the coding platform that I was learning didn't exist before that. So every day, the kids get the opportunity to enhance what they learned the year before. And as they continue to learn and grow, they might spark that interest, and that'll get them into college. And from there, they continue to learn new technologies that still weren't invented when they possibly began to learn code. So I think the foundations are very important. It's just that stepping stone that gets them started, gets them interested. And I think all of us are always learning new things every day because, I didn't want to say the word, but pandemics come up. And then suddenly we have to invent new things that we didn't have before. And so people that thought, oh, I already know everything. No, now you got to learn something new. We have to solve new challenges, new problems. And so it's ever learning.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, in some ways it feels like what we need, what you're trying to do, Nayeli, is teach them how to learn, whatever content they need to learn now, but also how to keep learning on their own in the future. We see this even in software engineering languages. Like, I think one thing I hear a lot is, oh, I don't know Java. Like, I'm not qualified for this. That's okay. Like, you can learn programming languages. Fortran was the most popular programming language, like 20, 30 years ago. And now, like, no one knows Fortran, right? And so if you were writing Fortran code 20 years ago, then now you need to be learning different languages, different frameworks, different skills potentially to continue now. And so that's why I really love that focus on learning how to learn.
That's a great concept, Jesse, learning how to learn. That also brought me to a point that Nayeli made earlier about pandemics and how we have to start using technology different and using technology to solve problems different, such as the pandemic. In my line of work, I use technology to solve problems to help us end homelessness. So it's very important to me of us to, think outside the box and think of how we can help different social impacts and different areas that we can continue to grow and help our country and help the world. What problems do you see us solving in our lifetime using technology, from your opinion? I know Nayeli had some thoughts around this, especially dealing with the pandemic potentially.
Well, my goal was to help out the local community at first. Things that are so small that a person that's technologically inclined can possibly figure out how to do in 10, 15 minutes maybe couldn't have been done without them, because the person that's trying to run a business has no idea how to solve the problem, how to fill that gap. How do they get from point A to point B? So for the pandemic, a lot of people had zero online presence, just online presence, not even talking websites, not even talking apps to order from their store, just online presence. Nobody knew where they were, who they were, because they relied on foot traffic, people coming in and out of their physical stores, word of mouth. So then there's this huge gap of all of these people that are suddenly losing business because they don't have any online presence. They're not on Google Maps. They don't have a website. They don't have an app to order. You can't find them on Amazon. They don't know how to take pictures of their products. They just don't know any of those things. So just by filling in that gap and helping them with the most basic of things on how to get that online presence, how to build a website, how to customize it in a way that it fits their specific business, it really helps fill that need when a pandemic does occur. Of course, the pandemic is ever changing, and it didn't just affect people that way, because people couldn't go to work, because they couldn't clock in and do that regular 9 to 5. They were looking for other ways of making money. How do they support their families when they can't physically go to work? Well, my community basically doubled within 1 year. It doubled because they found out that the main reason that I learned how to even do web design is because one day I found myself pregnant, needing a job and needed to make money fast. And so I thought web design is it. Well, web design is the basics of it, but then they found out, I can also learn how to code because she did it. She didn't have any coding background. So now we have all these people that are jobless because of the pandemic, learning how to do the web design thing, learning how to code, helping other stores fill in that gap, creating websites, developing apps, all those things because the pandemic happened. So now new businesses are being created, new entrepreneurs have, new web design, new firms, new agencies, all that stuff. So it kind of helped inspire a few people to go the technology route to kind of help their families as well.
Definitely agree.
Yeah, I really like that. I think it makes me think of something I've heard before about basically creativity comes from constraints, right? Like having constraints just allows us to, if this is our solution space and constraints, might shrink it to here. Well, now there might be more creativity that I can get because I'm forced into this box, and I can expand this box in other ways. And so, I think we've seen that with the, potential shift in the job market, like you've described, right? People who are now jobless, and it's unfortunate, but now there might be a chance for them to explore what else might be out there. I know we saw restaurants figuring out online ordering, community organizations moving their events online. Last year was an election year, and we had rallies happening online. And I was at a national park the other day, and they moved their trainings to be online. And so I think to me, some of these things might stick, some of these won't. That's okay. But so many more people were introduced to new tools to use thanks to this, unfortunate constraint. And I think if nothing else, there's a lot of room now that people have more exposure to different unique ways to use technology. And I think that'll take us pretty far.
Thank you, Jessie. Yeah, that's definitely true. The pandemic has really made it so that so many people had to learn how to pivot into technology to continue their business, to continue their learning, and so many other areas. Technology is beautiful and creative, and to me, it's like an art form because my data for me is art. So no matter your passion, it can always be infused into so many areas, to music, to art, to social justice, and so many other areas. And it's important we all continue to learn and teach the next generation. And I know Nayeli, was continually one of the themes you brought up is about just continuing to grow your knowledge and everyone else getting a chance to grow their knowledge as they started to pivot due to the pandemic and other situations. So how do you continue to grow your knowledge as well as think beyond code to begin to solve more issues? So for you, how has that been working?
Well, for me, I started exploring many other platforms. I started diving into language that I didn't know how to speak, HTML, CSS. I started exploring. I'm like, wow, okay, so now that I understand the fundamentals of JavaScript, okay, I sort of understand these too. And I keep exploring. Even if I don't think I need the platform right now, I test it out, I see what it's about, because if in the future I get whether a student or a client that needs something, I can at least go back and say, okay, I think I've tested something like that. Let me explore some more and dive deeper. but I'm always experimenting. I'm always reading. I'm always, if something new pops up, hey, this new company popped up, they invented, okay, let me check it out. I'm always exploring new things that are coming up because I want to be in the now. I don't want to stumble and try to figure it out later, like, oh, okay, well, this came out 3 years ago and I'm barely hearing about it now. I try to keep up with the tech news so that way I can expand my knowledge on what's actually out there and what is being invented basically day to day. And I love learning. And the more I can learn, then the more I can pass on and then other people can learn. And I think if we all help each other to learn, then we can possibly come up or create things together that we wouldn't have been able to do on our own.
I definitely agree. It's very important that we continue to learn and, help each other to learn and also understand all of the transferable skills that we have available from all of our different experiences can help us to even learn about technology even further. Along those lines, something I know you work with kids and that's something that's very important to you. How do you feel we should start teaching kids how to think about technology and think outside the box and understand, the different areas that they can get involved with, and also being a software engineer, the different languages that they can learn and not be necessarily feel like they have to be in one set specific language that they need to learn or be a certain type of way to be a programmer based off of what we've probably a lot of people have seen from the different footage that we might have seen that what is considered a software engineer?
Well, the same way that I'm exploring now different platforms, I think that's what we should do with kids. Mm-hmm. Usually schools, they do this job shadowing, event kind of thing. They take kids to different places. They're introducing them to different possible types of industries that they might want to work at someday. Well, I think we should do the same thing with technology. Introduce them little by little to different bits of technology. Look what we can do with AI. Look what we can do with, QR codes. Look what we can do with JavaScript. Like, just teach them little bits and pieces and see which one is the one that speaks to them. Because not every person is going to speak the same language. They're not going to understand it the same way. But maybe one of those will spark some interest and they'll really get it. And then they can explore some options, go to college, learn about that language a little bit more. Who knows? Maybe they might be the next inventor of some application that has never been created using that language or a new language that doesn't exist yet.
Definitely agree. Seeing all of this wonderful work and the growth from both of you has been truly inspiration, just to know the different things that you have going on and how you feel about growth and exposure for technology. And I feel like it's a walking example of one of my favorite quotes by Maya Angelou. Success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. So all of those things come together to bring on different impact, especially impact for technology. My last question to you is, what's the best advice that you can give women to get them into technology and just make a difference as well?
Well, what pushed me was I had a lot of people tell me no, that I couldn't do it. I had people call me to say, I don't want to talk to you. Doesn't a man work there? I'm sorry, there's no man that works at Code Queen. So people kept telling me no and no. And so what really motivated me was, yes, I can do that too. I don't have to learn 20 years of coding in order to be able to compete with other men in the same industry. So if you're a woman and if your passion really is to make a difference in technology, just do it. Believe in yourself, because that's all you need. Even if everyone else is telling you no, no, and no, or just follow your heart, follow your dreams, because yes, you can. I did it. I'm doing it. And many more women are going to do it after me. So follow your heart, keep going.
I love that. That is it's a really powerful message, Nayeli. Thanks for sharing. I think for me, the biggest thing I would call the best advice I would say is to just start building and trying things. Basically say yes to, I think that's saying yes to opportunities, right? If it sounds interesting to, build a website for, for a community org that you work with, that's awesome. Try it out. Get started. Because by having that goal and then figuring out, okay, do I use Wix or HTML or another tool? That's how you're going to discover. That's how you're going to really practice both learning how to learn and the actual learning of how to build, how to create products, and so on. And so, if you can figure out the goals, if you can find these goals that motivate you, that can help you push past, people saying no, or you being frustrated trying to figure out this really hard bug that you can't seem to figure out. And in figuring out those goals and then pursuing and figuring out how to reach there is what is going to really help you build your skills, see if you like technology, and as a plus, help you build a nice portfolio for whatever you want to do next.
Thank you. I really thank you both, and I appreciate you. And it's been wonderful to listen to you guys talk about some of the things that you're passionate about and your thoughts about exposure and knowledge and getting into the technology field. And I wanted to say once again, congratulations to Nayeli for being our Ada Lovelace Award winner for the software engineering.